I used to believe my marriage was built on honesty. Daniel and I had been together for almost 8 years, and in that time, we'd built a life that looked perfect from the outside. A beautiful home, a circle of friends, weekend getaways, and plans for the future. Everyone told me how lucky I was, how we looked like the kind of couple people dreamed of being. And for a while, I believed it. But things started to change. It was subtle at first. Daniel had always been attentive, calling me during his lunch breaks, sending random texts just to say he loved me. Lately, though, those calls became less frequent. His texts slowed down. He was too busy at work, always buried under deadlines that seemed never-ending. At first, I brushed it off. People get busy. Careers demand attention. I told myself it was normal. But deep down, something gnawed at me. One night, while he was in the shower, his phone lit up on the nightstand. Normally, I never looked. Trust was sacred to me. But the way the screen flashed, it wasn't just one message, it was several, rapid, almost urgent. My heart pounded as if my body already knew something my mind refused to admit. I didn't touch it. I couldn't. Instead, I lay there, staring at the glowing screen until it went dark, and he stepped out of the bathroom humming casually, as if nothing in the world was wrong. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the phone lighting up, messages pouring in from someone I didn't know. And then came the late-night work meetings. The sudden gym sessions that lasted hours. The nights he returned home smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't mine. I tried to ignore it, I really did. But when the heart whispers doubts, the mind eventually listens, and mine was screaming at me. The turning point came one Friday evening. He told me he'd be working late again. I decided to surprise him at the office with his favorite coffee and a snack. Something simple, something thoughtful. But when I arrived, his office was dark. Empty. No car in the parking lot. That's when the panic set in. I called his phone, but it went straight to voicemail. My stomach churned. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel, trying to breathe. And then, just as I was about to drive home, headlights pulled into the lot. It was Daniel. And he wasn't alone. The morning after that uneasy dinner, I woke up with a heavy pit in my stomach. Ethan kissed my forehead like always, but his eyes didn't meet mine. He left early, muttering something about a meeting downtown, and the silence he left behind felt louder than any argument. I tried to distract myself with coffee, chores, anything, but my mind kept circling back. The phone on the counter buzzed with a notification. It wasn't mine. It was Ethan's. He'd left it charging overnight. Normally, I wouldn't even think about touching it, we had always respected each other's privacy. But my fingers trembled as I stared at the glowing screen. One new message. Claire, last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. The name hit me like a slap. Claire. My best friend. My sister in everything but blood. We'd shared secrets, dreams, even tears. And now, her name sat there like poison on my husband's phone. I dropped it, almost as if it burned my hands. My mind scrambled for explanations. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe she meant dinner, or a movie. But the knot in my chest told me otherwise. I paced the kitchen, replaying every laugh, every glance between them I had ignored. Was I blind, or just desperate not to see the truth? By noon, I couldn't take it anymore. I called Claire. She answered on the second ring, cheerful as always. Hey, babe. How are you? Her voice was steady, like nothing was wrong. I swallowed hard, forcing calm. Good, just checking in. Haven't seen you much lately. There was a pause, too long. Yeah, things have been busy. Work, you know. Her excuse was flimsy, but I didn't press. I hung up, my heart pounding. If she was hiding something, she was good at it. That night, Ethan came home late again. His shirt smelled faintly of perfume that wasn't mine. I stood in the hallway, staring at him as he kicked off his shoes. Long day? I asked. He didn't look up. Yeah. Meetings ran over. Meetings. Always meetings. Later, when he showered, I checked his jacket pocket. My hand shook as I pulled out a small crumpled receipt. Dinner for two. Wine. Dessert. Yesterday's date. I sank onto the bed, clutching the slip of paper. It wasn't proof enough to confront him, not yet, but it was a crack in the foundation of everything I thought we had. And then, the moment that sealed my suspicions, Claire posted a story on Instagram. A blurry picture of wine glasses clinking. Caption, perfect night sparkles. My breath caught. Same date. Same wine. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, every muscle stiff with rage and heartbreak. The man I loved. The friend I trusted. Were they really betraying me together? I told myself I needed answers. Real answers. The kind you can't deny. Because if I was right, there would be no going back. The next morning, I woke up with the weight of 1,000 bricks on my chest. Ethan was already gone, no goodbye kiss, no note, just silence. I sat up in bed, staring at the empty space beside me, and for the first time in 7 years of marriage, it felt like a stranger had slept there. My phone buzzed. A notification from Claire. Hey, can we talk later? My best friend. The woman I had shared every secret with. My fingers trembled as I read the message over and over. Could she really be the other woman? I forced myself through the day, but every sound, every shadow made me jump. At work, I couldn't focus. My hand shook as I typed, and when my boss asked if I was okay, I just forced a smile. Inside, I was breaking. That evening, I decided I couldn't sit still anymore. I drove to Ethan's office, parking a block away. His car was there, but the lights in his office were off. I waited. Minutes turned into hours, and then I saw him. He walked out, but he wasn't alone. Claire was beside him, her hand brushing against his as if it belonged there. My stomach twisted. My vision blurred, but I stayed quiet, hiding in the shadows, watching the two people I trusted most walk down the street like lovers. They laughed. They touched. And every second felt like a knife in my chest. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run at them, demand answers, tear apart their lies. But I didn't. I sat frozen in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. By the time I got home, I felt like I wasn't even in my own skin. I stood in the shower with the water running over me, replaying that moment again and again. My best friend. My husband. Together. I realized then that this wasn't just suspicion anymore. This was betrayal. Real. Tangible. And I couldn't ignore it any longer. Part April 5th. The morning after seeing Ethan with Claire, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. My pillow was still damp with tears, and I could barely drag myself out of bed. Every corner of our home felt like a cruel reminder of what I had witnessed. The coffee mug he always used, the jacket he tossed over the chair, the scent of his cologne lingering in the air, it all felt foreign now, like they belonged to a stranger. I didn't confront him that morning. Instead, I watched him leave for work with the same calm smile he always gave me. But now, I knew it was all a performance. He kissed me on the forehead, as if nothing was wrong, and my skin crawled under his touch. All day I sat in silence, replaying everything in my head. Was I blind? Or did I just not want to see? My phone buzzed several times, Claire's name flashing on the screen, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. My best friend. My husband. Together. The thought alone felt like poison running through my veins. That evening, I made a choice. I couldn't live with only suspicions anymore. I needed the truth in my hands, undeniable and clear. So when Ethan said he had to stay late at work again, I followed him. My heart pounded as I trailed his car through the city streets. I almost turned back twice, terrified of what I might find. But deep down, I already knew. His car pulled up in front of an apartment building. Not his office. Not anything close to work. I parked a few blocks away, my hands trembling as I clutched the steering wheel. And then, as if fate wanted to tear me apart completely, Claire appeared. She ran to his car, laughing, her arms wrapping around him like they had done this 1,000 times before. I sat frozen, nails digging into my palms, watching them disappear into the building together. My chest burned, my vision blurred with tears, but I forced myself to stay. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and hit record. I filmed everything, the embrace, the laughter, the way they clung to each other. Proof. For the first time, I didn't feel weak. I didn't feel blind. I felt strong, because now I wasn't the woman living in shadows anymore. I had the truth, and soon, Ethan and Claire would face it. I sat in the car outside our house for nearly an hour, clutching my phone with the recording of Ethan and Claire burned into it. My hands were trembling, but my mind was clearer than ever. For weeks I had lived in confusion, in half-truths, in whispers of suspicion. But now, I had the truth, and with it, a strange calm. When I finally walked inside, Ethan was sitting on the couch, scrolling his phone like it was any other evening. He looked up, smiling faintly. "Hey, you're late." "Everything okay?" he asked, his voice so normal it made my stomach turn. I sat across from him, pulled out my phone, and without a word pressed play. His laughter with Claire filled the room. The silence that followed when the clip ended was louder than any scream I could have given. His face went pale. "It's not what you think," he started, fumbling for excuses. "She was going through something, I was just helping her." I stared at him, almost detached. Helping her in a bedroom? Helping her with lies? My voice cracked, but I didn't cry. Not anymore. He reached for my hand, but I pulled it back. "Please, listen." "It didn't mean anything," he pleaded, and for the first time I truly believed him. It didn't mean anything, to him. But to me, it meant everything. It meant the death of our trust, the end of the marriage I thought we had, the betrayal of not just a husband but a best friend. I stood up slowly, pulled the wedding ring off my finger, and set it on the coffee table between us. "It meant nothing to you," I whispered, "but it meant the end for me." I walked upstairs, grabbed a suitcase, and began to pack. He followed me, begging, shouting, breaking down. But I didn't waver. For once, the power was mine. As I closed the door behind me, stepping into the cool night air, I realized something. Sometimes the greatest act of love is the one you give yourself, choosing freedom over betrayal. And for the first time in months, I felt alive.